Justin Fashanu. The first to speak, the first to fall, the first to be erased by the game he loved. He didn't ask for glory, he didn't chase fame. He carried something heavier and told the truth anyway. He played with thunder in his boots, and a secret he refused to keep. He gave it to The Sun on the front page. I'm gay. 3 words. 1 war. He came out and football turned its face. They didn't retire his shirt. They didn't write his name in gold. They didn't even whisper it. They cheered his goals, then turned the page. They feared what he was and punished what he said. He stood alone, on the pitch, in the press, in the storm. And still he never took it back. He wasn't just a footballer, he was the question the game still can't answer. The mirror it keeps smashing. The silence it won't break. And before they shut him out, he gave them a goal they'll never forget. Not because of the curl, but because of the cost. Subscribe for the ones who stood alone, for the truths they couldn't market. Because football didn't just forget Justin Fashanu, it buried him. But after this, you won't. Justinus Sony Fashanu was born on February 19th, 1961, in Hackney, East London. He wasn't raised with warmth, he was raised with absence. His parents split. He was taken from his mother and handed to the system. At 6 years old, he and his brother John were placed in foster care. Norfolk, a quiet white village. 2 black boys with nothing but each other. He didn't grow up with noise. He grew up with stares. He smiled to survive, ran to stay sane, won just to be seen. He didn't chase dreams. He chased space, peace, proof. The world gave him silence, but the ball gave him voice. He could trap it like he was holding something sacred. He could move like the weight was gone. He never needed to speak. The pitch said it for him. By his teens, coaches were whispering, "Who is this boy? Where did he come from?" A foster kid from nowhere, moving like destiny was already written on his boots. By 17, he was in the first team at Norwich City. He wasn't just fast, he was fearless. Uncoached chaos with elegance underneath. He didn't dribble, he danced. He didn't shoot, he struck like a dare. By 1979, his name was echoing through stadiums, not for interviews, for impact. Then came the moment. February 1980, Norwich versus Liverpool. The ball breaks loose. He collects it on the edge of the box. 1 touch, 1 glance, 1 curl into the top corner. A goal that bent reality. It didn't just hit the net, it hit the nation. BBC goal of the season. A 20-yard masterpiece from a kid who came from silence. Suddenly, he was everywhere. Headlines, whispers, offers. The world didn't know his story, but it knew his name. And the pressure was just beginning to build. In 1981, Nottingham Forest made him the most expensive black player in British football history. £1 million, at just 20 years old. They didn't give him a crown, they gave him a target. The manager? Brian Clough. A legend, a firebrand, a man who didn't trust what he didn't understand. At first, he liked what he saw, speed, power, swagger, but the rumors followed Justin like a second shadow. And Clough asked one day, "Where do you go at night?" "Clubs." "Are they poof clubs?" It wasn't a question, it was a dismissal. In 1981, that wasn't just Clough's voice, it was the voice of a sport still afraid of difference. From that moment on, the dressing room changed. No trust, no passes, no peace. He played 32 games for Forest, scored 3 goals, and spent most of that season trying to breathe in silence. They paid for a star, then buried the light. He left within a year, no press conference, no thanks, no honor. Football had bought the boots, but not the man. After Forest, he became a traveller. Southampton, Brighton, Manchester City, West Ham, Leyton Orient, Notts County. Each club a little colder, a little shorter, a little more silent. He still played, still trained, still scored, but now he was a reputation no one wanted to explain. Some fans mocked, some players distanced, most clubs moved on. He wore the shirt, but never belonged to the crest. 1-year deals, 2-word praise, no legacy left behind. The media called him inconsistent, but never asked why he had to keep starting over. He wasn't fading, he was being pushed to the edge of the game he once lit up. And through it all, he never stopped trying to outrun the weight his name had become. When England closed its doors, he kept moving. Canada, New Zealand, the United States, lower leagues, smaller crowds, no headlines. But he still showed up, still trained, still created joy. He played for the Edmonton Brickmen, the Toronto Blizzard, the Atlanta Ruckus, Miramar Rangers, and finally, Maryland Mania. The wages dropped, the spotlight vanished, but the fire never left his legs. Teammates remember his generosity. He stayed late after training to help the youth players, paid for team meals when others couldn't. In Toronto, he once gave a young reserve player his own boots and said, "You play like someone's watching even when no one is." He wasn't asking to be a hero. He just wanted to play. He ran like he always had to survive, to matter, to prove he still could. And even when the game forgot him, he never forgot the game. In 1998, he was playing in America for a club called Maryland Mania. Second division, small ground, still fighting. Then came the accusation. A 17-year-old claimed he was assaulted. There was no trial, no warrant, no formal charge, but the headlines came anyway. Fast, loud, cruel. Justin fled the country, not to run from guilt, but from history. He believed England wouldn't give him a fair hearing. Not as a gay man, not with his name. He returned in silence. No home, no club, no plan. And on May 2nd, 1998, they found him in a locked garage in Shoreditch, East London. He was 37 years old. His suicide note read, "I realized I had already been presumed guilty. I do not want to bring shame on my friends and family. I hope the Jesus I love welcomes me." There were no vigils, no moment of silence, no national grief, just dust, and a name left in the dark. No minute's silence, no black armband, no tribute from the FA, no retired shirt, no testimonial, no campaign, just a whisper, and then nothing. Football didn't speak his name. It buried it. His death wasn't mourned, it was avoided. No one asked what it cost to carry his truth. No one answered why no other player ever followed him out of the dark. He wasn't just erased, he was rewritten, as a footnote, as a rumor, as a warning. Clubs stopped mentioning him. Fans forgot his goal against Liverpool, and even his brother remained silent. Years later, even John would admit the shame of turning away. But the silence didn't last forever. The next generation began to ask, began to listen, began to wonder, who was the man football tried so hard to forget? Years before that day, the Justin campaign, founded in 2008, carried his story when football wouldn't. In 2020, Justin Fashanu was inducted into the National Football Museum's Hall of Fame. Too late for him to see it, but just in time for the truth to breathe again. Justin Fashanu was the first. Not the first to score, not the first to shine. The first to stand without armor, without backup, without lies. The first to tell the truth and lose the world for it. He didn't fall, he was dropped, he didn't fade, he was exiled. Not because he failed the game, but because the game wasn't ready for him. He wasn't just brave, he was defiant. He didn't want statues, he wanted a chance. And when he left, he didn't just leave a gap. He left a silence that still hasn't healed. Every rainbow badge, every pride armband, every empty statement owes its breath to what he gave up. He should be remembered for the goal against Liverpool, for the £1 million record, for playing through fire with no one behind him, but he's remembered for what the world did to him. That ends now, because the first never dies. Not if we say his name, not if we carry it forward. Subscribe for the names they tried to bury, for the voices they silenced in plain sight. Because football may have erased Justin Fashanu, but after this, you won't.